One of the things that we like to do here is to take some verses that speak to us and go over them and just to discuss them a little bit. And so Josiah is here with me here this morning. And so we're going to go over Colossians chapter 1, verses 13 and 14. It is one of my many favorites, I guess you could say, verses. And so it says this, Colossians 1, 13 and 14. For he rescued us from the dominion of darkness and transferred us to the kingdom of his beloved Son, in whom we have redemption, the forgiveness of sins. All right, and so it starts off and it says, for he rescued us. And so what are your thoughts there? Who is the he?
The he would be the Father. It would be Jesus.
That's right. Okay, so Christ rescues us, okay? And so he does a couple things. He rescues us from the dominion of darkness. Now what do you think this means, the dominion of darkness?
That would be kind of our world today, or our natural state, because we all live in sin with our earthly father, the devil.
That's right. And so Satan is those who are not saved. He is their father. Okay, and so they are in the grasp of Satan. So the dominion of darkness, that means the people who are non-believers, and this is where they are, and this is where they live. Okay, and so they're all living in this way. And so first off, I want you to understand is he rescues us from the dominion of darkness, and then he does a second thing, is he transfers us to the kingdom of his beloved Son. Now, this is a different location, right? If we're going to transfer something, we're going to put it in a different location. So if you call up your bank, or maybe you just do it on your phone, and you have a couple of accounts, you transfer funds from one account to another, right? It changes spots, all right? And so we change spots. I want you to understand that. We are here, and everyone is over here in the dominion of darkness at one point in time before salvation. But somewhere along the line, if God has saved us and he has rescued us, he transfers us. He moves us from the dominion of darkness over here to the kingdom of his beloved Son. And so a lot of people, they don't like the fact that they belong to Satan, or they would say, I've never been belonged to Satan or anything like that. Even Christians have said that. And so I'm going to have you read Ephesians chapter 2, verses 1 to 3, and read that for us real quick here.
And you were dead in your trespasses and sin, in which you formerly walked according to the course of this world, according to the prince of the power of the air, of the spirit that is now working in the son of disobedience. Among them were two, all formerly lived in the lusts of our flesh, indulging in the desires of the flesh and of the mind, and were by nature children of wrath, even as the rest.
That's right. So before Christ, this is the way we were. So every one of us has lived there in the dominion of darkness. Now it says there that in Ephesians 2, 1 through 3 there, talks about the prince of the power of the air. Who is that?
That would be the devil.
That's right. So he is the prince of the power of the air. And so God in his sovereignty allowed the devil to have power. And this is why, we're in the midst of a spiritual warfare, and that we must arm ourselves with the armor of God and things of that nature, because Satan does have power. Okay, I want you to understand that he is not just some weak being. I mean, he is very, very strong, very powerful. Okay, and so he is the prince of the darkness of the air, and we all have followed him during one point in time in our life before salvation. But thanks be to God, God did something. If you'd read along in Ephesians 2, you would see how God showed his love for us and his mercy for us, and saved us by his grace. So here, all of that is that transferring us to his beloved Son. And it also says in our verse in Colossians, in whom we have redemption, the forgiveness of sins. So I want you to understand something. redemption involves the forgiving of sins. Sin is what separates us from God. Okay, it is the sins that we have done, and so these entire verses, I should say, is about redemption. Okay, the saving from sins. And so, how does this redemption take place? How does this redemption happen? Okay, it happens in those two ways that we had already discussed there. First, he rescues us. Second, he transfers us. Okay, and so this is the steps. This is how redemption happens to us. Is we have the rescuing and transferring us, which ultimately results in the forgiveness of sins. Okay, without the forgiveness of sins, we can't please God.
There can be no redemption.
There would be no redemption if we were in our sins.
Because we would have no way to be redeemed if our sins could not be forgiven.
That's right. That's right. And so thanks be to Jesus Christ, who went to the cross willingly, okay, for our sins. This transfer happened, okay, and we're talking about a different transfer here. But what happened is this, is when Jesus went to the cross, my sins, which are many, were placed upon him, and he paid for those sins. And in return, his righteousness, which is perfect, he was holy, he was sinless. Okay, in Hebrews 4:15, the last part of it says, and he was tempted in every way that you and I are, yet is without sin. Okay, so he is perfect, and so his righteousness was placed upon us. Okay, and so this is why we have the forgiveness of sins, because my sin was paid for ultimately by the sacrifice of Jesus Christ upon the cross.